All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. So, welcome. Before we jump in and go over anything specific, for 1099s, I don't know if you all realize this, but on your admin panel, you can access your 1099Ks. If you go into where you manage payments and all your Stripe information, if you go to documents, there's just a section there for tax forms. So you can access all your 1099s there. We're adding that same capability to the drivers today. So by the end of the day today, you all will see an alert on the dashboard that just says it's been done. So if you have any drivers that didn't receive their 1099 yet, it could be for a bunch of different reasons, but mostly it's probably because there was an issue with the address. Everything that was requested and where we had the information needed to file has been filed. So once this goes up, you'll be able to tell all your drivers, yeah, you can just log in, go to documents, see your 1099 there. At that point, if anyone doesn't have one that should have one, you can submit a ticket with that driver's name and login email, and we'll be able to target why it wasn't able to be filed. So that should resolve any issues with like drivers saying they don't have their 1099s yet. I will say this, that just about there were a couple clients that asked us to file after the 31st, but everyone that filled out that job form, all their stuff was finished and filed before January 31st, which is the cutoff day. I also spoke to our legal team and accounting and asked them, like, there can be like a $50 fine for these if they're late, like what? And they basically said, like, look, if someone causes a big stink about it, they might impose a fine, but usually they don't. But I believe most of the ones that aren't filed are because they haven't provided the information. So that's just something that we'll have to deal with on a one-on-one basis. Any questions about that and being able to access? Do you all know what I'm talking about when I mention where to go? Yeah, I take it there are no. Amanda?
Hey, yeah, that's awesome. I just wanted to ask, the driver accounts need to be active for them to be able to access that, correct?
That is a great question. I believe so. And if that's an issue, you can access them by impersonating, download and email it to them, or you can make them active for a bit and let them log in. Let me just,
Okay,
let me
cool.
double check on that real quick. I can ask one of the guys. Yeah, I'm going to see, because it's possible we made that to where they can always log into the admin portal, but because they're inactive, they just can't check in, right? So, and if not, I might be able to get that so they'll still have that capability, because in the long run, and Matt, that needs to be a note for our SOP for next year, Matt Edwards, that even if drivers are inactive, we still need to allow them to access that dashboard for their financial information. I don't think there would be any issue with that on the client side, right, guys? Matt, can you mute? Okay, so no one has an issue with that, and I don't think there would be. Any other questions about that? And you all know what I'm talking about when I say, you go into manage payments and documents. I can show you all. Jesse, you're on, right? Jesse, you there? Thought I saw him earlier. Let me just do a screen share in case anyone's not sure. Jeff, you mind if I use yours? I won't pull up
Yeah,
the
that's
actual.
fine. So
Okay.
real quick too is I had a couple of questions from drivers
Yeah.
on the actual form because there's
Yeah.
no dash in between. Are you going to go over that or what? I mean, I told him, I was like, listen, you got to go to your accountant or TurboTax, whatever you guys do. Can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
sorry, I just realized I'm on mute. But
Yeah.
yeah, someone else asked me that, and honestly, that's just something I don't want to respond to because I don't know. I'm not a tax lawyer, so yeah, they need to
Exactly, and that's what I
ask.
told them. I was like, you need to go talk to your accountant, whatever you
Right.
do your taxes with, let them figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, because the information's there, that means it's valid. Like Stripe won't do it if the numbers aren't valid. I don't know the format that is required. But I'll say this, I would seriously doubt if they have a dash or don't have a dash, it would cause major issues for them, right? Like, it's not like they're not filing. I mean, the most important thing is that you file. If there's an error, it's not a big deal at all. They just ask you to fix it. So
Any
So
forms
anyway-
that I've had to adjust, Stripe doesn't allow you to put dashes in the TIN number. It has to be just a straight set of numbers.
great. All right. So I'm going to show you guys now when you're logged in, you would just go to manage payments. And then once you get into here, you'll just go to documents and you'll see here tax documents and you can download your 1099s right here, view and download them. And then your drivers will have the same capability. All right. I think, that was like one of the main things that I wanted to go over. We've been hyper focused on trying to figure out a great way to make sure everyone could access their 1099s. And we just had this solution built up yesterday and we'll push it out today. So I don't know, does anyone have any other questions for on the financial side before we kind of open it up to everything?
Financial side, I think this would be it. It would be the payouts. I think that would be financial. How are we looking on the Monday through Sunday?
Yeah. So Mehdi is working on that, who is our lead developer, and he is also the one that does the integration with Stripe. So this stuff, I pulled him off of that to do this. He's also the one that manages GFO. So when we had that issue this weekend, he's been working with Google to get everything back up and restored. He has that ticket on him. He has made progress. I would say that it will probably, it should be done fairly soon, Jeff. It's just when these other things that are much more important, right? Like getting someone paid on a Friday is a cool feature to have, and I get the value of it, right? But auto payments is crushing right now. I haven't had a ticket on auto payments since the last round of updates. So we look at this more as a feature. And once he whittles down what I consider more of a support issue, people are freaking out because their drivers are freaking out. So I pushed that ahead and had him do that real quick, but hopefully soon. And you can keep bringing it up. I welcome it. It is on his to-do list though, directly. So.
Not a problem. I have no problem bringing it up. I just wanted to make sure that I'm sure it's still on the radar, and I have no problem bringing things up on a weekly basis. So,
Yeah.
as long as there's
It
some
is.
kind of progress,
And
right? And like you said, though, it is a feature. I think it's great. I think, honestly, for me and I think anybody else, I rather have drivers the ability to do an instant payout than to worry about a Monday through Sunday with the payout on Friday. Like that's more important to me when it comes to that point. And how
And we'll
is
add
that look?
we'll add that too. That'll be a little further down the line when we get the new driver app out and include it there.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons why I also haven't considered this a high priority. I actually think this feature that we're discussing is only good, but very valuable at the same time for restaurant partners. Drivers want their money quickly. They want to get it in their pocket. You know, they're not as worried about, from what I've seen, as the timing as a restaurant is, right? Like a restaurant really wants, like, I want all of last week's orders on this day consistently. So they don't have to try to figure out what orders or what payments tie to what orders and stuff. And most of our clients, if they're using autopay, they all use it for all their drivers. We only have a handful that use it for their restaurants because, as you all know, the restaurants are the lion's share of the transaction, which affects your cash flow a lot more, right? Like if you have a $50 order, usually roughly $10 is going to the driver, 35 or so is going to the restaurant. So, losing out or not losing out, but having that $10 go straight to the driver instead of your bank account is not a huge pay or cash flow issue. But if you take the 10 plus 35, that can cause issues. So that's really why we also haven't pushed it ahead of these other items. Any other financial questions?
I have one. I did
Sure.
submit a ticket for it, but just a heads up. So I noticed last week, and I don't know if this was a new thing or we just now noticed, but the tax line item on an order is keeping the markup tax price for both the restaurant copy and the original order.
I second that. I see it on my own tablet here.
Yeah, and so we hadn't noticed it before, but we noticed it on an Olive Garden this weekend. And I went back a couple days and it had been doing it since at least February 2nd.
You're saying your markup that has nothing to do with the restaurant, right?
Yes.
Is being viewed by the restaurant.
No, not the full markup. So when I pull up my original order
sorry.
for Olive Garden, yes, so the tax
Gotcha.
line is staying the same on the restaurant copy and the original copy. So it shows me the $12.95 menu price for Olive Garden, but
do you
then
know
it shows
the ticket number by any chance?
yeah, I can look it up real quick.
I can give you a live one now. Well, actually, I don't know if I have a live one. I just have one completed.
If she's got the ticket, that's a lot more valuable. I can just go in and take a look and make sure someone grooms it and gets it down the line. So the issue there is that when the restaurant sees, now it's not an issue with payments or with the invoicing, right? I just want to make sure it's an issue with when they open that order, they see taxes $12.47, when really for them the tax is $12.20 or something like that.
Exactly. Yep.
So actually, I couldn't test it for me because we're in Alabama and we have to remit tax for our restaurants. I couldn't test it on restaurants that have tablets. So it was only for me showing up on the pay on pickup and the place online. But see, we try to check those numbers to make sure that we're being accurate in our prices. And that, not only are we accurate, but we know that the restaurant got everything because the prices match where we pay on pickup.
Right.
And to add to that, Joe, like for us, our employees would have to put the order into our system. And when we do that, I tell them like, hey, look at the
check
tax
these
line.
things. Right.
And exactly. And it's always off. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. It's the biggest issue is like a checks and balances for them when they're looking at it and they see on their point of sale one thing and then they see on yours another, that's cause for concern, even though it's actually what's being done on their point of sale is right and what's being done in the financials is right. It's a viewing issue essentially. All right. Whenever you get a chance, you can just post the ticket number, Amanda, in the comments, and I'll make sure I take a look at that, see where it is in the pipeline, go from there.
Okay, and it might have been assigned to somebody. To be honest, I haven't looked in a couple days, so I just wanted to let y'all know.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, if you definitely, if you want to bring up tickets that you guys have in and are wondering what's going on with them, once we're done with like the overall financial conversation, I'm happy to just look at that. I think it also gives you all a nice understanding of how we prioritize tickets, right? And like why certain things get thrust ahead and others might get pushed back a little based on the results of those issues. So for example, Amanda, if this issue affected the payment in the invoice, we would call that like a highest priority ticket, right? It's financial, it's affecting everyone, it's affecting payments, and there are huge financial repercussions. So that would be a highest priority ticket because it's a viewing issue. So if a restaurant looks at one thing, looks at another, they might have cause for concern, right? We look at it more as a medium issue because when it comes down to it, the money's right, but we get that it causes questions from the restaurants, and you want things to be as smooth as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anything else? So I know let's see, Alex just commented on something else. Alex, can you put all this in a ticket? That's a lot for me to go over.
That was the wrong. I had something else in my clipboard. I just said the actual screenshot.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Somebody else. My bad.
No problem.
It's that new screenshot.
The last one.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's being caused when we're remitting part of the markup tax, part of the markup back to the restaurant.
Okay.
It's also thrown in that tax when it shouldn't be because we have to pay the tax.
Got you. Did you create a ticket on this one?
I've created last couple of months.
You have a ticket number on that?
If you can,
post a ticket number in there.
All right.
Any other questions? Any general questions or feature or topics that you want to discuss?
I did have something, but then I forgot what it was. I just had a lady yell at me. Give me like 30 seconds. Let me look at my notes.
Okay.
Is there a plan or an idea to have the restaurant copy pay on pickup price available somewhere for the drivers to reference before they pay for an order?
Yeah, on the new app, it will have that.
Awesome.
Yep. Which the new app, I believe, I mean, it's basically done. We're having some issues with, surprisingly enough, with Google. iOS, it's pretty much ready to go. So we're just waiting to get our approval for from Google as well.
Question on the driver app, the tip line and the signature. Are they going to? Is that? I guess when a driver, what worries me on that is like the safety of the customer's information, where a driver doesn't input something that they're not supposed to. So if there is an add tip and signature, are they able just to add in a tip and then that customer gets charged that tip?
For right now, yeah, but pretty soon that's going to be moved to the customer side.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
So that's
So what do you mean
long
move
term
to the
plan.
customer side?
When?
No, what
Jacques?
what do you mean move to the customer side?
Oh, so right now when a driver goes to get a signature, they can add the tip there. We're going to make it to where in the app, or if they use the web, they'll get an email or a notification to increase the tip if they want there, instead of doing it from the driver app, which is where it is now. So you guys know if you order with like a Uber or DoorDash, afterwards they give you the option to increase your tip, right? Right now ours is only on the driver app. We need to move that to the customer app so they can do it there.
Oh, great.
Are they going to be able to decrease it or only increase it?
I don't think we have plans right now to decrease, but I don't know the whole spec. I don't know the details of the ticket. I know that once we get, we're doing a big update with tying the consumer app. And so here's a couple things just interesting for everyone to know. Right now we have our consumer app and we have our app, right? Or the websites, which are mobile responsive. Whenever we make an update, we have to merge that code into the consumer app so it works there, then merge it into the website so it works there. Then for everyone to get that new code, we have to manually build every single app, which we have about 150 apps in the App Store, right? So we have to someone has to manually go through, which takes about 2 hours if they're good, and rebuild each of those apps so the clients get those new features. So we've been, for the past, I'd say it's probably about 45 days now, been creating a system where now the websites will essentially be a mobile app, the same, like when someone goes to the website, it will be the exact same thing as the mobile app. And when we push updates, it will get pushed once and it will be able to auto update everyone's apps immediately. So right now, when we do a new app update, it takes us about 90 days to update all of our clients' apps. Which is crazy because we could get 45 days in and then do another update, and then when we finish the next 45, we have to go right back through and do the other clients. So that's something that'll really keep everything updated, relieve some of our resources to focus on other items. But we literally have a team of like 3 people that all they do is rebuild apps. It's crazy. So.
And then the one question I had is, I think we talked about it before. You mentioned it, and I don't think there was gonna. I don't know what I don't remember what you said, but it came back up as a topic that me and Jay were talking about. Does DeliverLogic have any plans on doing any kind of integration with Divi?
That's the payment system, right?
Yes. Like the whole thing with Stripe on how that is. Like,
yeah,
that's
interesting.
That
you asked that.
option?
So we are open to that, although Stripe just reached out to me. I have a meeting with their payments platform team tomorrow to go over them adjusting their product to work through authorizations instead of deposit money, right? So we've gone over this a couple times where the way Stripe works is you get an order on Monday, Then on Tuesday, when you use pay on pickup, it pulls from the Monday revenue. So then your Wednesday deposit is your Monday funds minus your Monday purchases minus your Tuesday pay on pickups equals your Wednesday deposit. What they're working on for us is your Monday purchases. When you do now your pay on pickups will actually draw from your Monday purchases. So it'll just boom, add and subtract your authorizations essentially. And then on Wednesday, you'll get what you did on Monday, right? It'll be not only will it be much easier to track, but it will help with cash flow tremendously. So if they do that, and they've also added the ability, if anyone is having those negative draws, I can put in requests and get those canceled out now. So they won't withdraw from your account if you're using the pay on pickup. So if all those things go through well and the product becomes what I think it can be, then we probably won't do a Divvy integration. Also, the other thing is they have told me that they're going to be doing loans as well. So as clients, you'll have the ability to say like, oh, I want a $5,000 loan, and that loan will kind of fund my pay on pickup cards, which will draw from the authorizations. So it'll kind of keep things a little more smooth. So as long as that goes well, then we won't do it. But
so let me ask you. So if you're going to be on the phone with Stripe,
Yeah.
I'm a points guy. I like my points. I like getting free stuff. If you're on the call with them tomorrow, if you can get them to do some kind of point system similar to Divvy, I would switch back in a heartbeat.
Yeah, we've mentioned that to them. That's something I haven't heard them discuss moving on yet, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I hear you. But
yeah.
I mean, that's for me. Like for me,
I agree.
I mean, if I'm sitting here spending, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a week, and I have the line of credit to do that, and then I can just do it. I pay every Monday in the whole. I mean, every Monday I probably spend, I don't know, whatever it is. It just comes out, and then it adds up to my points. And every month I'm getting 140 to 170,000 points, which adds up pretty good,
Yeah, that's massive.
So if you guys can, if you're on the call with them and you can bring something like that up and see what they say, I think that's one of the key things that they're missing as far as Stripe is some kind of rewards on there. Everything else though, Stripe in general is top notch. It's just a couple little tweaks. It would be
for sure. I agree. All right. Well, yeah, I'll definitely bring that up on the call tomorrow. Any other questions? Any other comments, concerns? All right. Well, be on the lookout for, actually, let me check and see. I asked this question. Just trying to make it it doesn't look like right now, I did get a response on that, drivers can access if they're inactive. So I'll look at if it's possible to change that, where we would just say if they're inactive or not, they can still access their own portal, and see if that's something we could push as well. So I'll check on that as soon as I get off. Go ahead.
Sorry, another thing that just popped up. And I think someone else brought up another call on dispatch earlier. I think it was John. I had the same issue. So when GFO was down, and then it came back up, we have noticed that there was quite a few restaurants that used to be on there was not on there. And then Juliet said that there was a new part of like a new report or something that they can log into and look at that. I know that either yourself, you were looking. She said that you were digging into it more because there was a new feature. Did you hear or see that there were?
I've been working on that. That's been my big thing for the week, is working on making sure the GFO, all the menus are listed. We can get rid of any errors that they have. Jeff, yours specifically has to do with how you have your zoning set up. You use something that not many people use, and there was just an issue communicating that in some cases to Google, which is weird because some of your restaurants were showing, some they were accepting, and some they weren't. But we have targeted it, and hopefully it'll all be fixed by the end of this week, if not early next week. So I'm just working my way down. They show us with, there's like about 12,000 errors. Now, most of them are actually duplicate errors. So for example, we have 1,600, close to 1,700 errors that are considered a restaurant error. And when I drilled down into them, almost all of them were virtual restaurants, and they couldn't record or register those virtual restaurants because there's a brick and mortar in its place. But yeah, we're working on getting that stuff done and making sure that that the GFO listings will be more consistent and always be showing. So we're on it.
Thank you.
Yep. Anything else? All right, great. Everyone have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for taking the time, and we will talk to you next week.